What is up, everybody? Matt Moda here to give you my 3 favorite anytime touchdown prop bets for Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the 49ers. I came out with a couple of videos so far about the Super Bowl, my official prediction in terms of the winner, a couple player props, non-touchdown that I locked in, and then of course I had to give out my top 5 favorite Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce prop bets as well. But for this video specifically, we're rocking with the anytime touchdown bets. I have 2 that I really like as my favorite 1-unit plays. And then I also have 1 complete long shot play that I'm literally putting $10 on myself. Before we get into it, I would appreciate it, those of you watching, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. On the entire year, we did have a pretty successful NFL player prop season. We are up on the year 19.59 units with an ROI of just under 10%. We had a little bit of a colder day, I should say, for the championship games, but overall the playoffs have been going very well. Let's hope we can keep it going for the Super Bowl. And that's all we got. You guys want to lock in these bangers? Let's get started. The first play that we are locking in here is Deebo Samuel, anytime touchdown, plus 175 odds. This is offered, best offered at BetMGM. So I went with Deebo for the divisional round of the playoffs against the Packers. He got hurt in the first quarter. He played like 8 snaps, and then he really didn't return. Well, he didn't return for the rest of the game. That was a bummer. Luckily, he did show up the following week. Looked pretty good. Whether he was completely healthy or not, he looked good. So there are really no injury concerns with Deebo heading into this one. So that does mean that Deebo has not yet scored in the playoffs. Obviously, as I mentioned, in the Packers game, he barely played. And in the Lions game, things just didn't go his way. But he ended the regular season on a ridiculous tear. He scored at least 1 touchdown in 6 of the final 8 regular season games for the 49ers. And that's taking out week 18 when the 49ers rested their starters. And so he scored, again, to confirm, at least 1 touchdown in 6 of the final 8 games of the regular season. In that same 8-game stretch, he scored a total of 10 touchdowns. Basically, he got hurt at the beginning of the year. He missed 3 weeks. Then the 49ers had their bye week. Since he returned from injury and since the 49ers returned from their bye week, he was on fire the rest of the regular season. So sticking in that 8-game stretch, if we go even further into that 8-game stretch, he had a 3-game stretch, 3 games, where he scored a combined 7 touchdowns in 3 games. He had 3 against the Eagles. Then he followed that up the next week twice, scoring twice against the Seahawks. And then the week after that, he scored twice against the Cardinals. So back-to-back games where he scored 3, 2, and 2 touchdowns. So no, I'm not scared off of the fact that he did not score at all, or he has not scored, I should say, in the playoffs so far. Again, he only played 9 snaps against the Packers, and then the Lions, things just didn't go his way. But as good as he was in the regular season, and we all know how Shanahan likes to use Deebo, basically, I mean, not even including or limited to the red zone, but over on the entire field. He's very creative with how they use Deebo. And he could also just take a traditional handoff, right? They do that with him as well. Whether it's an end around, a screenplay, a traditional handoff, or just a normal drop back pass. There are a lot of ways you can utilize a weapon like Deebo, and Shanahan is pretty creative with him. And Deebo could just take a screenplay 50 yards to the house as well. So for plus 175 odds, I thought that value was really good. That is our first play. Next up, our second play, and we're heading to a Chiefs player, Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown, plus 100 odds at FanDuel. So I was actually able to lock this one in at plus 105, but the odds shifted to plus 100. As long as you are getting plus money for Kelce to score, I'm willing to take it. I wouldn't touch it personally. I wouldn't touch it for anything for minus money, which is where the majority of books have it. DraftKings, Caesars, BetMGM, they all have this for minus money. Caesars has it at like minus 128 last I checked. So we are getting a pretty good price here, even at plus 100 odds. But again, I would not touch it if you can't get the plus 100 odds. And Kelce, looking at him, he's been amazing these playoffs. Now, in a previous video, I did give out his receptions as a play. I'm already on that. I'm also on him to score, obviously, as you can tell. Here are his stats from the 3 playoff games so far. Against the Dolphins, 7 receptions for 71 yards. He didn't score in that game. That was a weird game, if you remember, 30 degrees below freezing. Didn't score, still had a pretty good game. Following week against the Bills, 5 receptions, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. Awesome game. the following week against the Ravens, the best defense in the NFL. 11 receptions for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. So in 3 playoff games so far this year, he has a total of 3 touchdowns, scoring in 2 of the 3 games. If you look at Travis Kelce's playoff career with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, Kelce has scored at least 1 touchdown in 13 of 17 games, meaning he has a touchdown in all but 4 of his 17 playoff games with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. And which is kind of funny. And if you look at the 3 games in which he didn't score, 3 of the 4 games, I should say, that he didn't score a touchdown, he still had an incredible game. He just didn't score. Now, the Dolphins won earlier this playoff season. He didn't score. The Super Bowl in which the Chiefs lost against the Bucs, Kelce had 10 receptions for 133 yards. If you remember that game, the Chiefs actually didn't score a single offensive touchdown. And then in Mahomes' first ever playoff game, this was all the way back in 2018, Travis Kelce had 7 receptions for 108 yards. Those are 3 of the games that he didn't score a touchdown. He's only really had 1 bad playoff game in his career. Now, the 49ers, yes, they do have a good defense, but Sam Laporta torched them last week, 9 receptions, 97 yards. And we all know that in the red zone, Travis Kelce can run the wrong route, and Mahomes will still be able to hit him. So there's not a lot defenses can do to slow down Travis Kelce. I absolutely love for him to score in this one. That's our second play. Next up, our ridiculous long shot. This is another Chiefs player, Mel Hardman, to score a touchdown, plus 2,000 odds at Caesars. That's the most important thing here. Plus 2,000 odds. Obviously, the more long shot the odds get, the wider the gap is going to become between the sports books. But some other books price this at like 1,000 or 1,500. So plus 2,000, it's pretty good from just an odds perspective. But obviously, you're going to want to unit size responsibly with this one. For me, I only put $10 on this one. And for context, the other 2 plays, I put $100 on. So I recommend putting 0.1 units on this play. If you're if your normal bet size is $10, I'd put like $1 to $2 on this one. You definitely want to be safe with this one. But as a long shot, I really, really like it. I wouldn't blame you if you skipped it entirely and you just took the first 2. But since it's making it into the video, I will track officially whether this hits or not. If it cashes, that would be amazing. For starters, we all know that Andy Reid loves to get tricky and zany and weird in the red zone. He just can't help himself. Last year in the Super Bowl, both Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney scored touchdowns when the Chiefs had the ball at like the 1-yard line. They weren't quite trick plays, but they did have plays, kind of fake screen passes that went to both Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. I also could easily see Andy Reid loving this type of quote-unquote redemption story, whereas we all remember what happened in the Bills game with Mel Hardman. If you don't remember, the Chiefs had the ball at like the 1-yard line. They gave him an end around as he was about to score. He fumbled through the end zone, Bills ball. What happened after that game was Travis Kelce was adamant that Chiefs fans should be mad at Travis Kelce, not Mel Hardman, because if Kelce had made his block, Hardman would have scored. I'm not necessarily sure whether I buy that or not. I respect Kelce for taking the blame away from him. Regardless, I could easily see a scenario in which Andy Reid goes back to Mel Hardman in the red zone for some sort of ridiculous trick play, and then using that as, oh, we knew we wanted to go back for him, we trusted him, blah, 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 after the Bills game. Again, it's plus 2,000 odds, so don't hear when I'm not saying that I think this is a lock or anything like that. For $10 to win 200, I think that it makes sense. So I went with it as a fun little long shot play. Obviously, the first 2 I'm very confident in. This one is more of a long shot type of play. And that's all we got. 3 anytime touchdown bangers for you guys to lock in. If you are not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Other than that, like the video, comment, all that stuff helps me out a ton. Appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.